Hey peeps, today we will be preparing no lumps, creamy, buttery tasting grits with scrambled eggs and bacon. Now let's start with the bacon. I'll be using Oscar Mayer center cut bacon today. And don't be alarmed by my hand, as we all know the grease from frying bacon pops like crazy. So to prevent that terrible pain, I wear my robe when cooking breakfast, because that green grease burn is the worst. Well, actually, I think the burn from popping grits is much worse, but I don't have to worry about that because of my technique, which I will be sharing with you in a few. Now, I won't bore you by showing the bacon fry in its entirety. I'll only capture the flipping of the bacon because that's what matters if you want perfectly golden crisp bacon. Um, there are two other popular ways to cook your bacon. You can cook them in the microwave, which for me is a no no. I only use the microwave when I absolutely have to use it because I don't know, I just think about the plastic and so forth. Usually you have to use plastic to cover it up and so forth. You can also opt to cook them in the oven. Now, I cannot speak on that because I don't know how to cook bacon in the oven, but it is something that I'd like to know because it's a much healthier way of cooking bacon. So, if any of you viewers out there are great with cooking bacon in the oven, please let me know in the comment section how that's done. I will be forever appreciative of that. And just so you know, I always fry my bacon with the burner set to 6, and I also do my eggs on that same setting. And something else about the bacon, if you can also cook it by letting it brown on one side first and then flipping it over. But I think that's a recipe for disaster. I've actually tried that before. It didn't end in disaster, but it wasn't perfect golden bacon, I must say. So I prefer to flip it periodically, and that's so that the bacon could evenly brown on both sides. If you leave it on one side, because if you think about it, the longer that grease sits on that fire, it gets hotter. So if you use the first few moments browning the first side, when you flip it over, you can't say leave it on the fire as long as I did on the first side, because now that grease is much hotter, and so it's browning the bacon quicker. And so if you leave it longer, that bacon will wind up being burnt on one side and you'll have uneven bacon, and I just hate the way that looks. That's just ugly. I like my bacon to be the same color on both sides evenly, and it looks pretty. So you right now you can actually see in the skillet some of the golden brown appearing on the bacon. And I think usually I will flip my bacon 3 to 4 or maybe 5 times. I don't think I've ever flipped it more than that. Because to tell you the truth, bacon is different. Some bacon fry takes longer to fry, and others it seems quicker to. I don't know what the problem is, and I think sometimes, me personally, I think it's something you're doing to the bacon. Sometimes you may get a good batch of bacon. The next time you may get some bacon that has something to do with a cloned whatever. That's just me, y'all. Don't call me crazy. That's just me. But anyway, see, I've turned it over again, and you can see a little bit more even brown on all those slices. Now we're going to go ahead and flip it again. Nice and pretty. It's coming together. I see, yeah. Don't you see that? Nice and pretty bacon. Wait till you see it when I take it out. Oh, man. Oh, that looks good. Okay. Let's just go ahead and flip one more time. Don't have to wait that long. There we go. Boop. And we'll take them out after we flip this. Yum, yum, yum. That was a stubborn one there. I had to back flip it. Okay, let me start plating this. Put it on this paper towel so it can drain the excess grease off of it. Do you see that pretty golden color? Look at that. And that's on both sides, y'all. Both sides. Oh, that's beautiful. Last one. Look at that. Now, aren't they pretty? Yum, yum. I'll just go sit this to the side and cover it up so it won't get soggy. Now, I'll go ahead and start my grits. As you guys can see, I've already poured my water in the pot. And I did so using bottled water. Now, I prefer not to use faucet water, even though I know that whatever harm lies in the water will be killed off from the heat, from the temperature during the cooking process. But I just prefer bottled water for my grits. And I know it looks like I don't have enough water in the pot, but I only used enough to prepare for my husband, my son, and myself. So this right here is all I need to start with. And I'll just add water as I cook the grits as needed. Now, yeah, it's way down there. I know you can see it. It's not moving right now, but you can see it's way down there. I usually put my grits, I start them off on high, of course, because you have to get that water boiling. And today, I'll be using Quaker 5-minute grits, but it will definitely be longer than 5 minutes. And what I do is I use the bubbles along the rim of the water as well as the bubbles at the bottom of the pot to gauge when to start pouring in my grits. Now, I'll also be using about a teaspoon of Land O'Lakes. And just 1 teaspoon, or maybe even a half a teaspoon. I don't know. It depends on how I feel. But I also use about 2 tablespoons of Imperial stick butter. Now, I'll be back when the water gets to the preferred boiling point. So, now that the water is boiling, I'll start pouring in the grits. Now, usually people, when they pour their grits in, they pour it in the middle of the pot and they stir while they're pouring. Now, if you think about it, if you just pour in the middle of the pot, you're pouring grits on top of grits in the same spot. And that's the reason why they get lumps. Now, the stirring that they do while they're pouring may prevent the lumps from appearing, but other times it doesn't. Now, my technique is a guarantee that you will not have any lumps. So what you do is you shake the grits in. And I shake from south to north and west to east. Then I stir the grits, right? And I just look at it and see the ratio of grits to water to determine whether or not I need to put some more in, and I'll add if so. Now, it's something else for you to note. When there's boiling occurring, the moment you add something to the water, the boiling decreases. So immediately after shaking and stirring your grits, you should put some butter in it. So I put my teaspoon of Land O'Lakes in, and I follow that with 2 very thin slices of stick butter. And then I see how thin that is? And you can tell it's thin the way I have to get it off the knife using the side of it. So then I stir that butter in until it completely melts. Okay. And once it's all melted in the grits, I immediately drop that fire down to the low setting. And then I put in my water, good bit the first time. And then I'll add some salt. And then I'll put in 2 additional very thin slices of butter. Yes, I keep saying very thin because you do not want a heart attack. So, a clogged artery. So, I put two very thin slices of imperial butter. There we go. And one. Did I put the other one in? Okay. And then I sit that to the side. Let that sit, and then I go to prepare for the scrambling of my eggs. Now, a little secret about myself, I'm a counter, guys. So when I get my eggs, my cracked eggs, I count. I usually count to a beat in my own head 23 times while beating my 6 eggs that I've cracked already. Okay, so, and then once I beat that for 23 times, I sit that aside, and then I stir my grits again. Now, thereafter, as need be, you want to continue to add water, butter, and salt until you've reached the consistency and taste that you desire. Now, if you look at mine, for me, I have to find a happy medium because my husband prefers loose, not runny, but loose grits, and my son and I prefer our grits to be a bit more thick. And if you see right here, look at that. It's a little much on the thick side. So I'll do another round of adding some water. Then I'll put additional, if you put in water, of course, you have to put in some more salt. And then I'll put some more butter in as well. Now I'll go back to my eggs, pick up my counting, yes, at 24. And then I'll count until I get to about 35. And now that I've reached 35, I'll put the skillet on the fire. And then I'll continue counting until 45 and start pouring until all the eggs is transferred to the skillet like such. Y'all don't laugh at me. That's just one of my quirks, and it is my routine. Now, I don't think I'm OCD because, as you can see, I have grease and crumbs on the stove top, and I haven't removed it yet. Okay, so now I'll go back to my grits and stir that in and taste them. I'm going to stir it first and give it a good stir. You know, mix up that water, that butter, and salt. Because you don't want to have all the salt in one spot. Okay, taste it. Okay, it needs a little bit more water and a little salt. And a thin slice of butter, y'all. And like I said, it all amounts to about 2 tablespoons of butter. Now let that sit and go back to my eggs, which are now forming. And I can start scrambling. That funny story, peeps. Ages ago when I was younger, I visited Paprika's home. And while there, I called myself scrambling eggs. But as soon as the eggs hit the skillet, I began scrambling, and it resulted in these small rolled up crumbly balls. Paprika schooled me on eggs. She informed me that the eggs needed to start forming first before I start scrambling. Since then, my eggs have improved, but they're still not perfect. Tasty though, very tasty. Even tastier when I can add my garlic to them. But neither my husband nor my son likes eggs that way, so I rarely get to have eggs my way unless I eat it for dinner or something. Okay, let's go back to my grits. They're about ready now, I think. Let me stir it just to make sure. Yes, I see that now. See that? That's my happy medium right there. Now, if I had it any thicker or any looser, trust me, I would have complaints one way or another. That's much better right there. See that? Okay, now that I have that where I want it, I'll begin plating. Now, for all 3 of us, we prefer a small portion for breakfast, especially me, as you will see in a moment or two. All right, Okay, I'm just plating Chef Mike's right now. Here it is. See that? Look at that bacon on that plate, boy. Yum, yum. Okay, that was me starting his coffee. And now we're going to go ahead and show you my son's. He's trying to lose weight. He doesn't need to lose, in my opinion, but he's trying to lose weight for a role he plans to try out for. And don't laugh. Here is my plate, guys. Don't laugh, really. Just a tablespoon. Oh, I forgot my bacon. Hold on. Hold on. There it is. Just a tablespoon of grits, some eggs, and one nice golden bacon, and a waffle. Until then, guys, yum yum. I'm going to eat it up. Talk to you later.